Amish drillers, trappers, and goons have been terrorizing the farms for some time. Amish goons have lots of trap houses and can get you anything you want.
Agents found 75 pounds of meth stashed inside furniture at a checkpoint. Agents found it this morning in Borrego's.
These Amish goons bust traps and sell illegal substances. They catch bodies going on horse and buggy drills and love drinking and throwing crazy Amish bangers.
Geauga County Sheriff's deputies tell us they were here in Huntsburg Township early Sunday morning after receiving a 911 call.
Sheriff's Dispatch, Jevons.
There's a bunch of Amish people over on Bunningsburg Road.
Deputies tell us that around 100 people were having a party this weekend, despite the state's stay-at-home order.
No one is stopping these bearded Amish goons from having a good time. When Amish goons party, everyone gets lit and extremely hammered.
And when we got there was a barn full of people. Some of them ran. Some of them were. There was one that was too intoxicated to run, had to be transported by ambulance.
The sheriff said one person was arrested on a disorderly conduct charge, another issued a summons for violating the stay-at-home order, and 2 were charged with underage consumption. The Fox 8i team received these pictures a couple weeks ago from residents concerned that the Amish were not following the governor's orders.
Can you blame them? There aren't many things in this world quite as fun as getting lit at an Amish farm party. These bearded goons were just trying to get drunk, crack some thoughts, and enjoy the night, but someone had to snitch. In the dangerous Amish hood of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Amish trappers involved with a dangerous biker gang. We're picking up large amounts of blow, and then we're flipping it in the cornfields and farms of the Amish hood of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Police officer Robert Wirtz is quoted as saying, "Bikes and buggies, it's a rather strange combination." 2 Amish goons were arrested for this crime. Abner King, age 23, and his homie, Abner Stoltzface, age 24. Were indicted in federal court for charges of distributing blow to members of Amish youth groups. When the goons aren't going on horse, buggy drills, busting traps, or hunting the ops, they're known to gamble on animal fights. And recently, an Amish thug out of Tennessee got busted for trapping and selling straps. Bro was the main plug coming out the cornfields.
25 pounds of marijuana, more than a dozen guns, and a detailed plot to make money.
And we're going to head over to Valencia Wicker in a minute with this story because Lawrence County detectives say an Amish man now faces multiple drug and weapons charges. 33-year-old Chris Appleby was arrested on Monday, and Valencia has the surprising details of this new case.
Chris Appleby was one of the main plugs for the Amish living out in Tennessee. Bro jumped off the porch and entered the cornfields at a very young age and fell in love with the trap lifestyle. Chris Appleby had a fully functioning greenhouse where he grew pounds of bud, and Bro was always strapped up and willing to stand on business if you played around with his money. But unfortunately for the trap god, he was snitched on by his own people.
We did receive complaints from within the Amish community about this gentleman, and normally the Amish community handles things within themselves. I can't go into what the complaints were, but it was enough for us to look into it. And while looking into it, we did get probable cause to execute a search warrant.
Wherever there's goons, there is always snitches, even all the way out in the Amish fields of Tennessee. And in reality, trapping within the Amish community has always been a thing. Because of all the trappers and goons, there is now a serious drug problem in Amish communities throughout the USA.
Heroin is rampant in Amish communities in Pennsylvania and elsewhere, introduced first in the form of prescription painkillers.
Amish goons have now taken a liking to dog food and other hard illegal substances. When the Amish goons aren't out using hard illegal substances, they're out getting hammered. Amish goons love alcohol. And when they're out drinking, nobody can stop them, not even the police.
A sheriff's deputy is on patrol in North Bloomfield in the heart of Trumbull County's Amish country when he spots a buggy. Inside, he sees 2 Amish men drinking spiked iced tea. On top of the buggy is a 12-pack of beer. He also spots something unusual for an Amish buggy, a stereo system with large speakers.
The goons need something to bump when they're out doing horse buggy drills on the ops. It's that simple.
Younger members of the Amish community often experiment with influences from the outside world, but authorities in Trumbull County say they have a duty to enforce the law in Amish country the same way they do in the rest of the county.
These are drillers and goons you're dealing with, so proceed with caution.
Unfortunately, they're not licensed, as far as the buggy goes, but it is a vehicle, it's on the roadway, and the OVI laws do apply. You're not allowed to drink and drive or operate a buggy.
Maybe for your regular citizen, for the Amish goons, they are always drinking while operating their buggies. It's part of the goon lifestyle.
When the deputy attempted to stop and question the two men in the buggy about drinking and driving, they jumped out and ran, disappearing into a heavily wooded area on the side of the road. The horse pulling the buggy took off running.
Even the horses can be goons as well if you grow up in an Amish hood.
And the deputy gave chase, eventually catching up with it a short distance away.
I've never operated an Amish buggy with a horse, but I'm told that the horse will know the way home, regardless if the operator is awake or even in the buggy.
Like I said, these horses are goons, and if the boys in blue are after these goons, they're going to run back to the Amish trap house. But the question I'm sure all of us have is what happens when Amish drillers catch the ops from rival Amish hoods lacking. Nearly 10 years ago in Cleveland, Ohio, there was a giant rivalry between two Amish hoods. Sam Mullet, the big dog in the cornfields, had started beefing with other Amish sets. He was the leader of a set that called themselves the Breakaways. The hood he was in charge of had 20 Amish families under his control and an 880-acre farm. For the Amish, their beards mean everything to them. When you cut a rival's beard off, the embarrassment is the equivalent of snatching someone's chain.
I'm saying, when he gonna slide though, man? Hey, Barbara, where you at, man?
Hey, fool, it's my bag might cost more than this now.
That ain't worth nothing. Come get your chain, man.
When they return to their Amish hoods beardless, the women look at them like a clown and the drillers lose all respect. And Sam Mullet knew that, so when the beef started, it was on sight and they were snatching beards. Sam starts the beef off when he sends two of his sons on a drill at the rival Amish hood. When the goons rolled up on horse, Buggy blicked up with scissors. It was a rough day for the ops. They approach one of the op scribs late at night, pull the op out of bed while he's sleeping and forcibly cut his beard off while his wife watches in terror. Sam then sends a couple thoughts he was cracking to go attack a female op. They catch the female applacking surround her and cut off 2 feet of hair, leaving patches, cutting it all the way down to the scalp in some places. The beef was up and popping in the Amish hoods. Sam Mullet organized a total of 5 different drills on the ops, and within 2 months there was a total of 9 different victims. Imagine going home to your old lady and trying to crack, but since you no longer have a beard, she's not interested, and then to find out she's giving up the Amish goods to a rival with a big old beard. Since Sam Mullet kept sliding, the ops became terrified that this was never going to stop and that they would all become beardless beta males unable to please their ladies. So now it was time for get back, but these ops weren't cut from the same cloth as Sam and his goons. They were beardless beta males and had gotten desperate since they had nowhere to turn. So they snitched, and next thing you know, 16 breakaway members were arrested. This was looking like an Amish RICO.
The men in custody are not your usual suspects. They're Amish.
When it's wartime and goons are going on horse buggy drills, anyone can become a casualty in the Amish streets.
But of late, the Amish have been suffering through a violent crime spree. The weapon of choice, hair clippers. Today, the Justice Department charged 7 Amish men, accusing them of attacking others in the sect and shaving off their hair. It may not sound horrific to you, but to the Amish, it's a serious offense.
For them, it is really a prime public symbol of their Amish faith and identity. It's very shameful to have your beard cut.
Without a beard, you're not cracking any Amish thoughts. And if you're married, you just got to accept the fact that your old lady is going to be for the streets until you grow your beard back. You can only imagine how tough it is for these men who now have to walk around their Amish hoods with a naked face. They know they're not going to be piping anything for at least 6 months.
Nobody in this nation and in this community has the right to assault another individual.
Sam Mullet was the big homie in his hood, and if you crossed him, you best believe there was going to be severe repercussions.
In addition to restraining men and women and cutting their hair, federal prosecutors say Mullet has forced members to sleep for days at a time in a chicken coop.
That's what we call an Amish DP. If you get out of line, then you get sent to sleep with the chickens. So act right before Sam Mullet and his goons make an example out of you.
People were living in fear.
Now with these arrests, if the FBI case is true, prayers may have been answered.
When the Amish goons aren't out going on drills and snatching beards, you'll find them getting lit on their farms and cornfields. Nobody drinks or parties harder than a large group of Amish goons. When the drinks start flowing, the Amish thoughts start coming out. These boys go crazy and they throw huge bangers bigger than any frat party.
This field in Holmes County was the site of large parties over the weekend, involving more than 1,000 young members of Amish communities in Ohio and Indiana.
Picture over 1,000 goons getting hammered and cracking a bunch of Amish thoughts.
The party was raided by the Holmes County Sheriff's Department and other agencies after Amish parents contacted law enforcement with concerns about illegal activity at the parties.
These poor goons got snitched on by their own people.
Had a couple undercover officers go in to look for underage drinking and drugs, and they weren't in there very long till they called and said, hey, we have a lot of underage drinking going on. So at that time we decided we're going to go ahead and go in.
You can't throw a proper party without some yayo, some lean, some tree, and most importantly, booze.
The owner of the property where the parties were held says he rented it out to the organizer of the event, who promoted it through social media sites used by the Amish. Each guest paid $25 to get in.
$25 to party with a bunch of Amish baddies is a great deal.
Gives them a safe place. They're not out on the road, and everybody knows they're going to party. I mean, they like to drink their beer and everything, so
that's an understatement. These boys love slugging beer.
They're going to party.
Clarence White says he posted a sign warning guests about underage drinking and drugs, but concedes he and his security team do nothing to verify the ages of partygoers.
Since we don't supply them and we're not actually the ones inviting them, okay, we don't check IDs or nothing. The guy that rents the place has not asked us to do that, so therefore we don't.
The sheriff of Holmes County says as drug and alcohol abuse has worsened among Amish teens,
as drug and alcohol use increases, so does the violence. And as Amish goons get more and more intoxicated, they create more and more different packs. But there's one pack in particular that Amish goons love smoking on. When the Amish catch bodies and smoke on the ops, it's typically a wife pack.
911, do you have an emergency?
Yes, we do.
At what address?
Person not responding.
Okay, do you know if the person's breathing?
No.
Okay, you mean you don't know or they're not breathing?
I don't think she's breathing.
Paramedics rushed to save the life of 30-year-old Barbara Weaver, an Amish woman who lives with her husband and 5 children on a quiet cul-de-sac in Apple Creek.
When deputies arrived at the crime scene, it became very evident that someone had blicked down this young lady. Nobody could find the blower, and police had no idea who could have been responsible for firing up this lady. The victim, Barbara Weaver, was known as the top baddie in the cornfields, and all the men were simping for her attention. Her 29-year-old husband, DUI, was the big dog in his Amish hood. He was described as being outgoing, handsome, and always the life of the party. He was also known to never be lacking and went everywhere with his blower. He was ready for all the action. If you played with his beard or tried jacking one of his cows, bro would blick you down in the middle of the cornfield. Bro was a huge fisherman and hunter and even had his own shop where he sold supplies. So when the body of his wife was found, police had to contact his buddy who he was fishing with to get a hold of him. Eventually, they got him into the police station for an interview, and the information they discovered was absolutely shocking. His wife, through the entirety of their marriage, had been nothing but faithful and loving. Eli, on the other hand, had a secret cell phone and was cracking a bunch of thoughts. A year earlier, Eli had an affair with an English baddie named Jessica. He used to pipe her out in the middle of his shop, and one time when an older Amish gentleman went to purchase some bait, he walked in on an affair. Eli and the gentleman came to an agreement that there would be no snitching unless the older man wanted to get a visit from Eli and his buddy Billy Western. The older man ended up being an Amish rat and went and snitched on Eli to the bishop. Being the stud that he is after smooth-talking his wife, she took him back and they went on with life like nothing had ever happened. But it didn't take Eli long to start cracking thoughts again. And eventually he gets into a relationship with 39-year-old Barbara. Barbara is a married woman with 3 kids, so as you can imagine, this is a very sticky situation. She was driving Eli everywhere, and despite his wife being much prettier Eli, the Amish lover boy was always trying to crack something new. When the handsome stud Eli starts cracking jokes about turning his wife into a pack, everyone laughs it off and doesn't take it seriously. 8 days after Eli's wife was turned into a pack, his text messages are released to police. All types of incriminating evidence comes out about the lover boy. Eli had so much riz he could get girls to do anything, even if that means turning his old lady into an Amish pack. Make sure you pay close attention. These are some of the sickest messages I have ever read. The sickest thing about those messages is that Eli was willing to blow up his own kids just so he could get to his wife. Eli then sends more incriminating messages trying to cover his tracks. Eli is not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to technology. Police then realize the unknown sender was Barbara and proceed to arrest her and Eli in their Amish hoods. She ends up getting a terrible lawyer and gets sentenced to 25 to life. Then when it came time to sentence the handsome lover boy, it's the year 2009 and the handsome goon only gets 15 years to life for turning his wife into a pack and is eligible for parole in 2024. So make sure you hide your wives before the Amish Riz Lord cracks and sends her back home yelling at you to grow a beard. If your wife suddenly asks you to grow a beard, blame this guy. For Amish drillers and goons, creating a wife pack is much more common than you realize. A known stepper and goon named Samuel Borntruger got bored of his wife. Instead of getting a divorce, Sam wanted to make a new Amish wife pack. So he poisons her over time and eventually she passes away. Sam caught a body and got away with it for over 10 years until it began bothering his conscience. The wife pack was no longer hitting like it used to, so he went to the lousy police who couldn't solve his case and told them what he had done.
A man is behind bars this midday after confessing to killing his wife almost 10 years ago. 39-year-old Samuel Borntruger is charged with first-degree murder for poisoning his wife in Missouri back in 2006.
This goon had gotten away with murder and probably would have never been caught.
Go.
Well, we do have a warning for you this afternoon. Some of the details of this story, pretty disturbing. Barron County is where Samuel Borntruger confessed to the gruesome crime that happened in Missouri almost a decade ago. Authorities dug up the body of Anna Borntruger yesterday after her husband called the sheriff's office to admit that he poisoned his wife. He'd reportedly served as a minister in his Amish church in Kentucky, and in Missouri, he was a cabinet maker. He told police he put antifreeze in his wife's drinks and put battery acid in her rectum before she died in late 2006. The confession stunned the Harrison County Sheriff.
This is one of many different strategies that Amish drillers use to create a wife pack. But what happens when it's wartime and the Amish want to put in some work and drill on the ops? Amish goons going on horse buggy drills has been happening for a long time. These goons show no remorse. If they catch an op lacking, they're going to fire him up and create a new pack. When there's beef in the Amish hoods, it's best to stay inside the farm, because if you enter the cornfields when it's up with a rival hood, you might get sprayed up by some bearded goons. During a deadly Amish beef in 2013 in Lancaster Township, a horse was sprayed up in a drive-by horse buggy hit. Luckily, nobody was hit and the goons had to settle with smoking on a horse pack. Then in the city of Ronks, these guys got their get back and another drive-by horse shooting happened. Again, they intentionally didn't hit the people, but instead sprayed up the horse, resulting in another horse pack. During this beef, there were so many new horse packs being made that the new strain of bud everyone was puffing was called Horse Kush. If you were a non-affiliated horse during this time, then you knew the terror of walking these cornfields. But for a hard-working middle-class horse, your only option was to keep working and stay clear of gang-affiliated horses and goons. This beef continued for a while with horses getting lit up, and a couple attempted beard-snatching incidents, but unlike the other Amish set, these boys weren't going for it and were willing to die for their beard and respect. Nobody was getting their beard snatched without catching a body, so they settled for horses. Like what happens with all gangs, eventually the steppers got arrested. Known driller 21-year-old Timothy was sentenced to 1 to 2 years for catching multiple horse bodies. Recently, in a tragic turn of events, a young Amish woman was killed while riding her horse and buggy. A 28-year-old Amish goon named Marion Yoder was out partying and getting absolutely hammered. Just like how they do in the hoods of Chicago, when out partying you gotta use your strap as a dancing stick. Marion Yoder was getting hammered dancing and showing off his strap to all his boys. This is an Amish hood party, nobody is lacking here. The bearded goon, while under the influence, makes a terrible decision. As we all know, what comes up must come down. And the goon takes out his strap while his boys are laughing and fires a shot into the air. A young lady named Rachel had been driving her buggy home from a Christmas party over a mile away. And as she approached her Amish hood, she was tragically struck by a round, and that was the end of her. The goon responsible, Marion Yoder, was initially charged with felony reckless homicide. But luckily for him, because of the no snitching rule in his hood, the victim's family did not want to proceed with this case as a felony. So when it came time for sentencing, Marion Yoder got off easy and only received 30 days in prison. I feel bad for anyone that tries him. These Amish goons are built different. Never judge a book by its cover. In 2024, goons and gangs are coming out of all different types of communities. You've got the steppers and drillers coming out the retirement communities.
Accused gunman, an elderly resident. New tonight, our Robert Townsend digs into court documents which shed some light on why the 81-year-old man allegedly pulled the trigger.
Unfortunately, that's what happens when it's wartime. Retirement community beef can be deadly. These boys are old as dirt and have nothing to lose, so they will keep spraying up your house until they get their guy.
This is where one of the shootings happened. You can kind of see behind me. It's a quiet, peaceful neighborhood. In fact, it's a senior living neighborhood. It says it right there on the sign, an adult community.
This is an adult community full of goons. And these drillers, who are always whacked out of their mind from all the yerks given to them by the pharmacists at the retirement communities, are always on go time and ready to slide on the ops. They will catch a body and not worry about it, cause by the time they go to court, father time already caught up with them. And this is why retirement gangstas are some of the most deadly goons out there.
Detectives believe this shooting is connected with another shooting also well before sunrise Friday morning on Prestonwood Drive in Valrico. Investigators say two suspects wearing hoodies shot up that house.
Thank God we didn't get hit.
A close call that has the entire neighborhood still on edge.
We don't know if it's over yet.
On top of retirement communities, now in 2024, rich suburban gangs have gotten out of control.
3 people were shot during a pool party at the mansion.
I recently covered 2 separate stories about self-made suburban gangs that are out drilling and catching bodies.
Those gunshots rang out in this residential neighborhood as people slept. Just 2 days earlier, 4 people were shot at Dutch Jake Park in West Central Spokane.
Over the last couple years, it has been deadly in rich suburban hoods.
First 2 weeks of October, there were 2 drive-by shootings in Spokane. In one instance, a 15-year-old died. The boy's parents told police that their son was being harassed by gang members.
We're seeing a recent uptick of gang activity. There's new gangs starting.
So what's current gang activity like in Spokane? While that can be difficult to fully quantify, this officer says the task force has seen more people lashing out lately, so to speak. We also asked what gangs are in Spokane County.
Generally, we have Bloods, Crips, Gangster Disciples, People Nation.
These suburban goons are growing up listening to a bunch of King Von and Chief Keef. By the time these goons get to high school, they want to step off the suburban porch of their mansion and enter the field. So with their buddies and the kids at their lunch table, they end up forming gangs similar to what you would see in the streets. These goons then end up recruiting, and these self-made gangs can reach over 100 members. Can't be a real gang without dead homies and ops, so they end up starting beefs with other suburban gangs. Despite having every resource available, these guys want to be thugs, and eventually bodies start dropping and the beefs become real.
And second shooting at a Spokane park in just the last 2 days.
Nowadays, there's new gangs coming out of every pocket of society, so make sure you guys all hit that follow button to hear about the drillers with bowl cuts and $1 million coming out of Sweden.